What's up, everybody? Dennis James here, and we are back for another episode of TMP. My special guest here on Zoom. I'm looking at him right now, Mr. Sergio Oliva. What's up, champ?
What's up, DJ?
All right, man. We just had a quick conversation. We talked about height, and I mentioned that, people don't realize how tall you really are until they meet you in person. You know, you also said that. How tall was your dad when he was in his prime? Because we just talk about bodybuilders shrinking.
Like 5'9", just a little 5'9", just a little bit under 5'9".
Yeah, I realized it too. I mean, so I remember when I was 6 foot. Now I'm 5'8". I was never 6 foot, but I was 5'9.5" at one point. I know that for a fact. That's what I had in my ID card, military ID card, that I was 5'9.5".
So everybody lies, everybody lies a little bit. They lie on their weight, they lie on their height. Did you lie up or did you lie down?
I lie down. I always lie down on my weight. That was my thing. When I told people.
Oh, especially in bodybuilding.
Yes, but I never made myself heavy. I made myself real light. When I was 270 or 280, I would tell people I'm 240. And then I'll get and I'll get like, oh, that's the biggest 240 I've ever seen. You know what I mean? I never made myself heavier. I said, there's no reason for it. I made myself myself light. And my age, I made myself old when I was young. And when I turned
and now
and now I make myself young. But now it's too late. With social media, you can't lie no more. Once your shit's out, it's out. That's the problem. But I made myself.
The height, though, it's smart for a bodybuilder to lie on their height down, because if you're a smaller height and a bigger weight, you're bigger.
Right. But I prefer, your height tall. Once you fill that frame out, it's just so much more impressive. I mean, if you have all the body parts, and you stand on stage and you stand out height, waist, and size, I mean, come on, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I know, it is, man. It is. But like I was telling you before, we started, is that the tall guys get whooped their whole career because it takes forever to fill their bodies out. I feel like I'm so lengthy, especially even just my form with working out. It's harder for taller guys even to work out. Like when we squat deep, we have to go a long way down. So just overall, not just on stage. But you're right. Once you fill it out, I mean, look at Cedric. And that's what's cool about this Arnold, is that, there's a couple people in this Arnold that if they are 100%, they're unbeatable. 100%. No one can beat them. No one can beat Bayeki. If he's 100%, it's impossible. And if Cedric comes in 100%, no one's going to beat him. And it's just the stature. Like, people don't understand, and that's what I try and preach for people to go to shows in person, because these guys in person and the word stature, you don't get on a Facebook or an Instagram picture. It just doesn't do it any justice.
Yeah. But you know how it is sometimes when you look at someone in pictures and then you see them in real life, and in pictures they always look bigger, and they look different and bigger, mostly bigger in pictures. But I think with you, it's the total opposite. I think you big.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. I suck in pictures.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I wouldn't say you suck in pictures, because you're not. Come on now. You look great in pictures, but you look way more massive in real life. People don't. I can't see in pictures how big you really are. You look huge in pictures, but when when someone sees you standing there, it's the total opposite. And for some people, it's the other way around. They benefit from having great pictures out, because when you see him, like that's all it is. It looked like he was standing by himself. It looked like he's humongous.
Damn, that means a lot, man. You've seen literally the biggest human beings that have ever been on this planet, and also been one yourself. So coming from you and using those words, that means a lot to me.
I see size, and it's not just size. When you have the height, and there's a few guys I can mention when it comes to that. Tony Freeman, it's the same thing.
Oh, yeah. He was my favorite. He was the Paul Dillette of your generation.
He was not the biggest guy, but when you saw him, because he had the width, he had the height, he had the legs, and the matchup. Yes, it looked unbelievable. So he was another guy that looked better in real life,
Yeah, absolutely. The X-Man. I miss him. I miss that guy.
Yeah. Let me get back to you. Let's talk about Sergio Oliva growing up as a son to an absolute bodybuilding icon. I mean, like, it can't get much better than Sergio Oliva, you know? What was that like growing up knowing your dad was, I mean, everybody in the world know who Sergio Oliva was. And did you realize that from a very early age, or did it take some time for you to understand or to realize that your dad is a superstar in bodybuilding?
Yeah, actually, I say this all the time. I never met the bodybuilder. I mean, literally the pictures where he's holding me up, that's literally his second to last show he ever did. Mm-hmm. So about the time I'm born, he's pretty much done with his career. So I only knew the cop. He was a police officer for like 32 years. Mm-hmm. So I just knew the cop, you know, and I knew that, you know, he would, especially in Chicago, he's like the Arnold of California in Chicago. And, right. You know, he's just a celebrity. So I knew that and I was able to understand that. But I don't think really anyone can understand bodybuilding, and especially on a pro level, until you do it yourself. Mm-hmm. So it's one of the things I say all the time is that unfortunately me and my dad were not close when he was alive. But the more that I get into my career, the more I understand some of the things that he did and kind of how he was. So the sport, which he ultimately didn't want me to do and tried his hardest to get me not to do it, ultimately ended up making us closer. And it's just crazy. It only happened after he passed away.
I wonder why that is, because the same situation was with Hunter Labrada, where his dad didn't want him to pursue bodybuilding. Why did your dad didn't want you to bodybuild?
I believe Lee. I think no father is like, man, I can't wait till my son grows up to be Mr. Olympia. That's not a thing, you know? And anyone who's ever competed knows, one, how hard that is and how extremely difficult it is just on your body and your life. So no father would be like, oh, I can't wait till they do that. So I don't think Lee was like pushing his son to work out and want to be a pro and want to be Mr. Olympia one day. But I think once he started, he was absolutely supporting him. I think since he's been a teenager, I mean, me and him, we did photo shoots. I mean, he's a little bit younger than me, but yeah, he had to have been, I don't know, 20, 21. We were doing photo shoots and he was definitely, you know, getting a full support and tricks and tips from his dad, which is so cool and I'm so envious of. The reason why I think my dad didn't want to push me into bodybuilding, I think is because of some multiple things. I think one, he competed at a time where it was a lot harder for someone being colored and especially an immigrant not being able to speak the language. So I think his experiences and time in bodybuilding was a lot harder for other people. Mm-hmm. And then he left, you know, burning so many bridges and having so many grudges, which exactly now that I'm getting older and I'm understanding a lot of things that happened back then, some of them are justified. Mm-hmm. The only problem is that he never really dropped any grudges till the day he died. And I think he just has this animosity towards bodybuilding that he just, you know, didn't want me to do that instead of other things. I think if he was still around, you know, obviously he would have wanting to, you know, be in my corner and support me and help me once I've established myself a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think also too, I think every immigrant that escapes from a country, they never want their child to be anything except like a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. Yeah. He wanted me to go to school. That was his big thing. Yeah. But it just wasn't for me.
So you mentioned, I think I heard that you said you grew up. Was your dad around when you grew up, or did you grow up?
Yeah, I grew up with my dad. Yeah, my parents were divorced, and we would go back and forth between my mom and my dad. But yeah, I primarily lived with my dad till I was 19.
Okay. So So when did you start bodybuilding?
I didn't even really lift a weight because I ran track and I was on the swim team. I was really skinny. I was actually 145 when I decided I wanted to be a bodybuilder. So 6 foot, I was even a little bit taller. I was 6 foot, 145. And I had some scholarships for school, for track and some swimming and water polo. And I just decided, I started working out just a little bit and I really loved it. And I really decided that, you know, realistically in track and swimming, you know, there's the Olympics, you know, but the chances of you being able to make the Olympics is really ridiculous. And with track, you could practice years. You could practice 10 years and take 1/8 of your time off. You know, that's really all you're able to improve. I wanted to be able to be something that I could maybe even make a big difference in the sport itself. And I think the whole idea of there never being any child of any pro even was like a big deal to me. And to be able to be the first one of that, that means I'm like kind of doing more than just getting ready for something, winning, and then getting a trophy. You know, like when I'm done with bodybuilding, I want to do more than just win trophies. But then I really fell in love with it, you know? So I think that's kind of what really started is I thought, man, this would be really cool if it happened. And then when I was trying to get my pro card and stuff like that, I really started to really understand bodybuilding a lot more. I think because we all grow right away when we start lifting. You know, it's like, oh man, I tell this story all the time. I told Phil the day that he got his pro card, not the day he got his pro card, but like around that weekend, he was at an expo, and I had just gained like 30 pounds in like 2.5 months. So everyone who starts working out, you know, you think you're going to keep making those same amount of gains forever. I'm so ignorant. I'm telling Phil, I'm like, man, I think I'm going to be a pro in like 5 years. You know, and it's looking back, it's so ridiculous because one, it ended up taking me 10 years, let alone just to be talking like that. You know, it just showed I was just so ignorant. So I think once I got past that stage and I really started to understand bodybuilding and really how to fill out my body, that's when I really started to have a love for it. So I didn't lift a weight until I was 20, maybe 21. And then I did my first show at 176, a middleweight, and I was 23, maybe 22. Well, yeah, it had to have been like 2005 or 2006.
Okay, so you started lifting after you left your dad at 19, so it was afterwards.
Yeah, so I had these scholarships for school, and then I wanted to start bodybuilding. I wanted to start working out, and I would join some gyms, and even one gym canceled my membership because my dad had called them and stopped them from letting me go there. Yeah, exactly. And well, first I started going to the gym that he went to, and then he's best friends with that guy, and then it turned into I need to go do schoolwork. I shouldn't be at the gym, so I couldn't go there. And then I found this like hole-in-the-wall gym in a basement, and he found out about it, and that's the one that he had called, and they were like, hey, we got to give you a refund on your membership. So that's when I knew I can't do it's pretty insane, right? I know. I decided I'm going to have to move to Florida to bodybuild. I have to get out of Chicago because it's not going to happen. So I literally packed my car with everything that I had, and me and my girl, we just drove to Florida, and that's when I started my career. So I lived there for 8 years, and my whole beginning of my career is in Florida.
Got you. So you moved from Chicago to Florida before you moved to San Diego.
Yeah, oh yeah. I actually moved to Florida for 8 years, and then I don't know if people remember the oil spill came and it like messed up where I was living, and BP gave us some money. So I used that to move back to Chicago for 5 years, got my pro card, and then as soon as I got my pro card, I went out to California.
Got you.
But I was in Venice. I was in Venice for a while before I went to San Diego.
Oh, okay. So what was it like bodybuilding or competing even before you turned pro and after you turned pro? What is it like carrying the name Sergio Oliva? Does that put extra pressure on you?
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, I think no matter what, people always have something to compare me to, where every bodybuilder in the history of bodybuilding, besides Hunter, gets to just get compared to themselves. You know, this person does a show. The next time they do a show, they're going to look at them at the last show. I get looked back at my last show and against one of the best bodybuilders ever. And I can have body parts better than him, but that's not going to be something people see. They're going to more focus on what I don't have of him. And it's just wild when you think about it, because at least with Lee was, you know, what, the 80s and 90s, you know? We're comparing my body to someone in the 60s and 70s, which is so insane. Not only are the human anatomy so different back then, but the lighting and bodybuilding stages and the condition, what a competition actually was judged on is so different. So it used to bother me a lot. I used to actually have a big issue with it. And I think that's why when I won New York, it was a big deal for me, because I think myself, I believe that, you know, I am doing this and I can do this. Because before that, it really got to me when people would say stuff, because it's harsh. It's really harsh, and it's nonstop. But then I learned, really, they're the worst fans, because any real fan knows, like, yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of similarities, and it's a cool aspect for the sport. But why would we judge someone from the 60s and 70s to someone now? It's ridiculous. It's
like, it's the same as people still compare whatever people to Arnold back in the days. You can't compare it. It's the sport's evolved so much that, you know, if you and, you know, as stupid as this sounds, it's the truth. I mean, if you would put Arnold at his best on the Olympia stage today, where would he place?
Joe Weider's Olympia here in Orlando, Florida. A little bit strange coming out of Las Vegas for all of those years.
Good evening, and welcome to the event that nearly never happened.
There's been an absence of a particular group of people on this stage that are back tonight. Tonight I'm here to say, welcome back to Miss Olympia.
You know?
Right, see, but then now you're saying stuff that's going to make people get crazy.
I'm telling you, yeah, I know. But if you keep it real, and I got to keep it real, I mean, at that time, they were so far ahead of their time. Like, it's unbelievable. They were better then than these guys today when you look at the competition. You know?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but you know, you can't compare. It's like compare race car from the '60s to the race cars today. There's no comparison.
That's the example I actually use all the time. Exactly.
Oh yeah.
And you can and the same thing with like old classic cars. You can like old classic cars.
Yes.
But you can also like the new cars that are coming out, which are a lot different. They're shaped different, and it's a different kind of performance.
Yeah.
So
how easy was it for you to decide to add the victory pose to your routine or to your posing? Because you know that was a hard shoe to fill, but you know what was it? Is that just in honor of your dad, or do you believe that you have that pose down?
No, I believe I don't even really look that good doing the pose. I think it has to be from like the right angle at the right time. Yeah. No, it really is just for him, and I think it was kind of cool in the beginning. I would kind of hit it.
I think it's still cool.
Thanks.
No, for real. I think you have to, because you have to represent. You're still representing Sergio Oliva, you're junior, but you still represent the name, and you got to keep that pose in there. I mean, I would do it too if I was you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely really cool, and I always say it to myself. I'm one of the biggest fans of the sport, so I think I kind of want to like be a remembrance too for the back in the day for these newer fans, and I think that's sometimes where it's kind of like confusing for people, because I want the sport to be a certain way, and I also understand it a little bit better than fans that kind of just now following or just started following it after Ronnie and Jay. So it's hard for them to kind of understand. There's so many different aspects to bodybuilding. There's so many different personalities and just kind of ways that you can do your career. So no matter what, if people like me or not, I said this when I did the Olympia, when you were doing the press conference, is it doesn't matter if people like me or not. I'm a constant reminder that this sport is living on. And it doesn't matter. No one can take that away from me or anyone else who's like a fan of mine, because it'd be really cool. And I would be just as excited. I mean, I don't think Arnold's son, Joe, is going to probably obviously be a pro and get to the Olympia stage. But even just watching him get into it and hit the poses like his dad, no matter what, you're able to appreciate generations and kind of like evolution in a way. So it's cool.
Yeah. True. Talking about 2021 as a Sergio Oliva, you were a favorite coming into this 2021 season, getting ready to qualify for the Olympia 2021 at the Chicago Pro. You just announced not doing the Chicago Pro. So now what show are you looking forward to in order to qualify for this year's Olympia? Because I only heard, I don't know, I think I heard you say it too, but I only heard from someone else that you plan on doing the Arnold, which is a great show to do, and I think that everybody should do that show because it's an awesome show just leading up to the Olympia. But that's not going to qualify you for this year. So are you planning on qualifying for this year, or are you just saying, listen,
unfortunately it's out of my hands, so I'm going off of some things that I have to deal with some personal issues, and there's some dates, and I got to meet with some lawyers and stuff like that. So the problem is I don't have anything set in stone. I just knew for sure around July I'm going to have to go to Chicago, which is so ironic. I have to go back to Chicago to meet with some people. And there's no way I was going to be able to be in Atlanta to do the show. So at least that one I knew for sure I wasn't going to be able to do. As I get closer, we'll know if we can knock everything out right away, or maybe another meeting maybe later at the end of the month. And then if that's the case, I can still hop into that Texas show.
So you're still prepping. You didn't stop prepping.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no way. I'm not. Yeah.
So the goal is still to make it to the 2021 Olympia, correct?
Yeah, that would be great. Absolutely.
Okay,
for sure.
Because from what I heard, it sounded like you're not interested in doing any shows right now, and I don't want to get into your personal business because that's not what I do.
I was just saying there's going to be people that are not going to be able to do the Olympia. So there's those people right away that they're not going to get enough points because the fans aren't thinking there's less shows this year. There's less places to qualify. So the Olympia is going to have a different type of, on the back end, the numbers of people. So I was just saying it'd be really cool if even people that did win the shows too, who aren't going to be getting compared to Ramy, Brandon, etc. If we just all did the Arnold together, then we're all being compared and for the win. And I was saying that, it would, I think it was really cool that we and Hunter are about to go against each other. And I'm a fan of the sport. And I was really upset also that I'm not doing the show. I'm not going to be there in that lineup. Of course I want to be a part of that, but as a fan too, I was really excited to see, me, Akeem, and Hunter go against each other. It's really cool because we could be the next tier in line.
No. There's no we can. You guys are absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, the next tier. And I did not mention you enough when I have conversation about the newer guys. And I never really mentioned you because I don't you're the young. But you, in my eyes, you're not one of the newer guys. You've been on the Olympia stage years ago, so I can't put you in this same group of newer guys, Olympia debuts, and maybe one in last year, So that's why I want to make sure you understand that I'm not mentioning your name because I don't think you belong in there.
Oh, no,
it's just because I don't see you as one of these newer guys.
I'm younger, I'm a little bit behind Cedric and Kuklo and like that stage. But you're right, I'm definitely not Hunter and Nick Walker. Like I'm
right.
not.
And that's why, because probably somebody's probably gonna send you a message when I talk to every week I talk to someone. We'll talk about the newer guys who's gonna be, and I say this to everyone and I say it again. You guys will rule this sport for the next 10, 15 years. So and that's just the way it is. And that's you. And now I'll mention you first because I'm talking to you. That's you, that's Hunter, that's Ian, that's Nick, that's Blessing. There's, and there's a few others that I'm not mentioning now because I can't remember them off the top of my head. Yeah. Sure. And that's absolutely the case, It's just that you skipping the Chicago Pro is opening doors for, because that conversation that you just mentioned I had with a few people where we said this is going to be so awesome because there's only 3 shows, or with Puerto Rico 4 shows for 6 Olympians, potential Olympians, to qualify. So someone's going home.
Right.
And I talked about this with Fuad. I talked about this with Nick. I said, somebody's going home. I mean, Nick's out the picture. He qualified, So we were, and when I had this conversation with Fuad 2 weeks ago, I think, we said, who's going to win Chicago? We going back and forth. It was my podcast, but we were basically podcasting each other. So it's like, who's going to win, And I'm like, Hunter. And then he said, nah, Sergio. I said, you know what? You got a point there, man. Sergio. We going back and forth and couldn't really. I said, this is going to be so crazy. There's going to be such a stacked lineup. We got Akeem in there, who's the highest ranked guy going into the show, which I didn't know if it was going to do Chicago or Puerto Rico. I heard he's doing Puerto Rico. I'm not sure what's going to happen, But he could possibly do Puerto Rico and then still go to Chicago. We don't know. So you moving out basically makes this way less interesting because there's a spot available right now, that there's somebody else is going to move in that possibly would never even dreamed about being able to place in the top 5 in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little sad to see that you pulled out. I do understand that there's certain things, and I believe 100% that you didn't pull out because you didn't want to do it. There must be a reason, and that reason that's yours. And I believe you're professional enough to, if you were to find a way, you would have been able to make it happen. But, I understand that. I just hope that you find, you get it sorted, whatever the problem is, that you can still compete. Because, we want to see you with these guys on the Olympia stage because you guys are the new crop. The new generation, the generation that's going to replace the older guys that are in their 40s. Because it's no longer that people retire in their mid-30s. They retire in their late 40s. So it's time for this new crop to come along. and you were one of them. You were one of the front runners in our eyes, and I wholeheartedly believe that. So
yeah, no, I just need to do it. Yeah, unfortunately, the way this sport works is people only remember kind of the more recent things. And unfortunately, they also don't understand that 5th place at the Arnold last year is better than winning realistically any of the shows last year or this year so far.
Yeah.
But they don't want to hear that. That makes it sound like you're attacking their favorite bodybuilder when really it's just bodybuilding. 5th place at last year's when there was now 2 Mr. Olympias, 3 Arnold Classic champs, and I was able to beat one of them. That's, as a fan of the sport, who's a real fan of the sport, I would rather.
No, it was two Olympia. I almost said 3, but Brandon didn't do the Arnold, right?
No, right, exactly. I would way rather do that than have, except for you punch your ticket to the Olympia, of course.
Right.
If I had won Indy, the Cal, or New York, besides being able to immediately go to the Olympia, where I know I stand in the sport, it's more elevate that where I stand by doing that Arnold. If that makes sense. Like I know where I stand in the sport by beating Cedric than if I had beat someone who's a rookie or Patrick's not a rookie either, but he's like he would be probably the same level I am. He's not a young person. People just didn't know about him for a while.
True.
But the other thing is also too that people don't know that I was going to Australia to do the Arnold. And Bonac wasn't doing it, Ramy wasn't doing it, and Dexter wasn't doing it.
Well, Ramy tried. He was going to do it, but he got stuck.
He was trying, right?
He got stuck in Dubai. He left Kuwait on the last flight before they closed the country, so he went to Dubai so he could make it to Australia. And then while he was in Dubai, they canceled Australia.
No, he announced that he wasn't doing it before, because that's what I'm saying, is I knew no matter what, when I was going there, I knew he was out, Dexter was out, and Bonac was out, because I remember I even texted Kuklo and Josh Nardowitz, and I said, hey, it looks like it's going to be us for the show. So no, he had announced before.
But he was
when I landed.
But he was going to do it. He just got stuck and couldn't leave Dubai.
He was, yeah. No, I think he had an issue. I think he had an issue with traveling, but he did not do the show because it was canceled. He had already announced before he wasn't going to do it.
Okay, well, last thing I remember is that he got stuck Dubai. They wouldn't let him leave Dubai, so he got stuck there for 6 months at the end.
Oh no, yeah, I'm saying that happened.
Yeah,
right?
and you got
still on.
Yeah, you got stuck in Australia. How was that, man? What did you? How long were you over there? A couple of months.
3 months.
3 months.
Yeah, 3 months.
Hey, listen, man. That's not a bad place to hang out.
Hey, what do you mean? We were there together.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's not a bad place to hang out. So
and then really, what's even great too is that I left Melbourne because what I had planned was I was going to do the Arnold, and then I wanted to go to Queensland. Okay. And if anyone's been there, they know that the Gold Coast is the real Australia.
Yes.
And Melbourne's like the city. So yeah, luckily we got on a plane and went there. Because once the show was canceled, we're like, all right, well, let's just go there. And luckily, because the day we left, then they closed the border there. So I would have been stuck in Melbourne for 3 months, which it would have been fine if it was like how it was when me and you were there and we were able to go out. But they closed down. They closed down severely. They had cops in the streets writing your license plate down. And if you were out of your zip code, you went to jail.
They just closed it down again last week.
Again, for 2 cases. They closed it down again for 2 cases.
It's crazy. I mean, Melbourne is the worst part in Australia where they're so strict with everything. It's unbelievable.
Everything, yeah, right, exactly.
So you're hanging out at the Gold Coast for a couple of months, What was that like? Were you training down there? Well, how restricted were things?
No, yeah, it was really weird. If I didn't watch the news back in the States, I would have had no idea COVID was a thing. There was no masks. There was nothing, and thankfully I had Aaron Politis out there, who's a 212 guy, and Sam Pierce. And I got really close with them. And that actually ended up being the best part about that trip is, man, those guys are like my brothers for life.
Yeah.
And they took care of me, man, really did, man.
They looked after you, yeah.
Yeah, man, everything that I needed, to make sure that I didn't fall off,
So where did you stay? Because I remember seeing some videos where you had an awesome view and everything over the beach.
Oh, yeah. Well, me and Cormier got this. That was the best part, too, is that now the island is shut off, so no one can travel there, not even other Australians. So there's all these Airbnbs and these hotels that they almost look like some of the hotels in Dubai, just super high skyscrapers. And they're empty. So they were just starting to give them away for like $100 a night,
Yeah.
So in the beginning, we just stayed at like the most like glamorous hotels you could ever think of with the most insane view. And then once we realized that the border was closed, we couldn't go back to the States for a while. We had to really get an Airbnb. But then I was able to get an Airbnb that had like a pool. It had like a dock for the lake. You could do kayaks. It was great. It was really one of the best times of my entire life. The only downside is that by the time I came back, I wasn't able to do Tampa or New York, and I wasn't able to do the Olympia. But it's funny because if COVID didn't happen, then I would have been battling, because no matter what, Bonock and Dexter were saying they weren't going to Australia backstage during the night show. So they weren't going no matter what. So then it would have been me and Ramy being able to battle for Australia, which to me, again, as a fan, just being able to stand next to him and be able to compete with him, that would have been the best part of it, you know? I would have taken a second place at Australia. I would have been a highlight of my life. I would have came back. I would have hopped into one of those other shows, got those extra points, because I don't know how many points I got in Ohio, but a second place in Australia, I probably either could have gone on those points or just did another show and just kind of placed on the top.
Right.
And then I would have been at the Olympia, and then everything's different. Right. But because that thing didn't happen, people forget about you, and then they forget really where you stand. And then when now these new guys win shows, unfortunately against no one, their stock goes up, and people's memory is just very short in the sport. And all the greats have told me that when I first started, is that you're only as good as your last show. And unfortunately, if your last show was 2 years ago, you're non-existent.
Yeah, if you think about it, time, because COVID messed up a lot of things. So what was it like for you last year, looking at the Olympia happening and without you being on stage, and you seeing these younger guys and basically moving up? What was that like?
Well, the biggest, I don't really compare myself to Hunter, Ian, like that kind of crowd. I feel like me and Akeem have been battling for a while, and we've gone, head to head at a couple shows, and I beat him at every show we've ever gone against. So watching him being 6 in the first call out was the biggest punch to my gut I think I've had since I've been a real, top professional. And it was motivating. It really was. And I think when I talked about it, when I said, hey, that would have been my spot, I would have been 6, people just kind of take it as negative. But really, yeah, it would have just been so cool that if I would have done that, I would have been in the first call at the Olympia, and then my whole life would be different. Yeah. Yeah. So unfortunately it didn't happen, and that's not what happened. And then I'm just like telling myself, okay, hey, I'm going to get into Chicago, get a qualification, go back. And then even with Roelly coming back, I'll be battling for who's going to get in that first call out. And then again, life happens. And then just not going to happen from Chicago.
What show is Roelly doing?
In Tampa.
So he's putting all his eggs in one basket that's going to Tampa?
Yeah, I think he can do that.
Yeah, well, absolutely he can. If he's in shape, he can absolutely win this show, no doubt.
Right.
I just don't understand why. You got to be really, really confident knowing just going into the last show.
That's it. It's your last chance. I know. I've done Tampa before. I qualified to go to the Olympia off of Tampa. Your last shot of the year. Right.
To be honest, I would be worried. Some of these guys are in shape, and some of these guys are coming out. I mean, they mean business too. I mean, Tampa is August. Yeah. Well, listen, it takes balls to do that, and he has the body to do it. He needs to bring the condition, because, like I said, if he's off, there's going to be some of these guys going to be able to beat him. That's just.
I think he's mad. I think he's on another level. I think watching. Yeah. You're asking me how it felt to watch Akeem in 6th place.
Yeah,
I bet if you asked him how it was to watch Ramy win, it's even way more devastating.
Especially after seeing what kind of condition he was in last year, because he looked like he was in tremendous condition.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, it's got to be hard. It's got to be hard. But
the real ones will use it, and that's my point. Is right. I was able to see that and be like, man, I actually could have. Because in my head last year, I'm like, man, I wouldn't have made the first call it anyway. But then like 3 people dropped out. And then you're right. Now, no matter what, Akeem got not only that prize money, but he got to be experienced being in the first call out. Because they did 6. They brought out 6 at one point.
Yes.
And he was in that. That's I mean, I don't have to tell you.
Yeah.
But man, that's everything to me.
That's the whole goal of bodybuilding. When you as a professional bodybuilder, the goal is to be in the first call out at the Olympia. That's the first number 1 goal. That is, I trust me, it is That will make everything worth it. I mean, every hour you suffer, every time you starve, and every cardio session, that will makes it worth when they call you in the top 6. And you know what? He deserved it. I mean, he looked unbelievable. You know, Akeem, he looked unbelievable. I was very, very happy for him. You know, and he absolutely deserved it. And he's a threat, man. And you don't really see what some of you guys look like unless you put you next to these top guys. And then you can say, look how he's holding his own. If you ever get a chance to stand next to one of them, we will never know. You know, so I think it's very important to, once you make that first call out and they start moving you around, and then people see you like, wait a minute, look how he. And I believe that Akeem is a guy that I would like to see him stand next to Ramy. You know, size-wise, to compare these guys literally next to each other, because I think that would be a beautiful call out.
I agree, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I get a lot of animosity with the whole Nick Walker and stuff like that. But even me and him talk, and even what I've told him is I've tried to even just kind of explain to him is that as soon as you stand next to another person, you could make them look different also, but your physique immediately changes right away. And coming from me, every time I've either done the Arnold or the Olympia, they put me next to Big Ramy. I came out at the Olympia, I was between Phil and Big Ramy right away. The first time I'm ever on Olympia stage, that's the call out. Coincidentally, that's my number in between those two guys. And then coincidentally again at the Arnold, I'm next to Big Ramy. And I know how it feels like to stand next to someone. And like, I don't consider me big, but I have like a large stature on stage. I've never really looked up to someone, you know, they're usually smaller than me, you know, and I just couldn't stop staring at him. I couldn't believe that someone could just, you know, stand there looking the way he did. It wasn't the pose, it was just standing.
Yeah.
And they're all going to find out. They're all going to find out at this Olympia when they don't even come close to even standing next to those guys, because the guys that are trying to beat him, they're hard. They're fucking nailing it too. And they're also hungry because Brandon is also mad. He lost it. There's a lot of people going into this. Bonat, I think Bonat coming into this Arnold is proving everyone's trying to say he's on his way out and he might be, you know,
that's a mistake.
Kind of losing some muscle.
That's a mistake.
I think he bought a house. He has like his own gym now. He has a lot of things in his family that he's coming back for a vengeance. Roelly's coming back with a vengeance. Yeah. So really almost everybody in that first call out, Hottie got stuck at the embassy and all the, you know, what's the word?
The visa issue, yeah.
Yeah, the visas, right, exactly. And then he still looked insane, but because he probably had to deal with that, he was a little off.
He made it there like 2 or 3 days before the Olympia.
That's insane.
He didn't even know he was going to be able to make it until 3 days before the Olympia, because he was literally in Dubai at the embassy being denied several times, and he did not give up hope, you know, because if it was me, weeks before that, I would have said, you know what, fuck it. Let me start eating, man. What am I suffering for? What am I doing this for? He stuck to his guns, and literally the last little bit of hope that was there, he made it happen. He got on that plane, and you could see it wasn't enough time for him to be ready on Friday, but Saturday he was crazy.
It was, right.
If he would have came in Friday the way he came in Saturday, straight second place. I guarantee.
Which means if he would have came in just a day earlier to the country,
exactly,
he would have by Saturday.
Exactly. And
but people don't understand this. People don't understand cortisol levels. And it wasn't even about him probably cheating. I bet you he never thought one time about eating.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes you're not even in control. You could still be on your diet 100%. And the stress and the anxiety of having to deal with that stuff, people don't understand what that does to your body when you're that lean. And you could have been, he probably was super watery when he landed. You know, we don't even know.
I think
he's coming early.
Yeah.
You know,
that's dangerous.
So right, that's another person who has something to prove.
Oh yeah.
So when I've been trying to explain to these kids that in these fans coming up and they get so mad at me, I'm trying to explain this isn't just another Olympia. There's a lot of guys from last year that have a lot to
there you go.
They have a lot to prove. So they're coming back trying to be better than what they were. And I think we need to be trying to focus on being our best, you know, obviously coming in better, but also being realistic. And we need to start teaching these new social media fans really what is possible in bodybuilding. Getting in that first call for that 6th spot, we know now that's a possibility. You can take that 6th spot. But
well, there's another spot available now. Phil most likely won't be coming.
Well, Roelly takes that spot.
Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah. No, the only thing is Flex Lewis going to do it? I don't think so. I don't know.
What do you mean you don't think so? Is there any rumors going around? Am I missing something?
No, I don't know anything for sure. Okay. I just know that he's definitely been dealing with a lot of business stuff. You know, he's doing his life stuff, and I don't know. I mean, if he does, it'll just prove exactly what kind of person he is, because to be able to open up a gym, move to another state, do all this, go through the stem cells for his leg to come right back to the Olympia, that would be insane. That would be another level of determination. But I would love to see that. I'd love to see Sean. Fuck. Yeah. And that. So either way, I think we should be trying to explain to, because that's what I do. People will message on my posts, oh, you're going to be Mr. Olympia this year, or you're the GOAT. And I try and always just respectively kind of correct them that, hey, look, I appreciate the support, but that's not happening this year. It's not happening. And I'm by no means the GOAT. You know, we just throw these terms out like it's nothing. And a lot of times other people's fans make you dislike a bodybuilder, because somebody will be like, oh, this guy's going to fucking beat Ramy. And now you have to be like, that's ridiculous. That's not going to happen. And by doing that, you're kind of bashing that bodybuilder. So it's always a catch-22. And if the fans, we would just start telling our fans, hey, look, this is like a 10-year. You have to be a fucking medical 10 years before you're even going to be in the running to be Mr. Olympia. Like, and the investment that you have to put in with these kids, that we're getting so excited about the new flavor that we are getting bored, and they are not, we are, but a lot of the new fans are getting bored with the same top 5 for the last 8 years.
You diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. Pro Tan. #1 worldwide since 1987, and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. Pro Tan.
You know, but they don't know how long it took for them to get up into that call out. I remember when Roelly was with Grandma, and he wasn't in the first call out. He wasn't like that, you know, a kind of a threat. There wasn't even a big Ramy back then. You know, we didn't even know he existed. Really, we didn't know what Oxygen existed until you went out there. Yeah. You're really the first time I ever heard about that. So either way, sometimes, even now, there's a lot of pros like Samson. He can be a destroyer one day too.
Is that the guy from England?
Yeah, England. Yeah.
He's tall too. Is he a tall guy too?
Yeah, he's taller. Absolutely. And then if Nathan gets his life, you know, his personal life together and can come back, he's ridiculous too.
He's competing. He's trying to qualify. He's doing the.
He is trying to. Yeah.
What show is it? I think he's doing the Spain show.
Right. And then, you know, Antoine's hurt, you know, so he's going to be out. But we still have Regan. And then, man, there's a future Quincy. He's another Canadian guy. I think one day he might be Mr. Olympia. So there's a lot of people, but unfortunately in the limelight, in this little circle that people can only look in, we can only see who won this show, who won that show, when realistically some of the times the best bodybuilders like Ronnie, Sean Roden, they took forever to finally be able to get that Olympia. But would you trade that it took you 10 years to win one, or you went immediately to the first call out and you never won it ever?
Yeah, I'd rather go with the 10 years.
Yeah, I'm okay with that investment in my life. And I understand but it's hard. It's hard for people to understand. You got to give up your life.
Yeah, that's another thing. And that's why a lot of people have problems in their personal life with wives, girlfriends. And it's not easy to have a bodybuilding career and have a partner that completely understands that you're an idiot sometimes. And I know I was. Yeah,
here's a stat for you, unless you can correct me. I think Lee Haney and Lee Labrada are the only two, top pros that are with the same woman since the beginning of their career to the end of their career and still today.
Well, I consider myself not a top, but I'm the same way. I'm with the same woman since before I started bodybuilding.
So yeah, since Thailand, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm still with the same woman there. So,
hey, you know what?
But I know, but you're right. There's literally there's only a few. I mean, it's a handful that I can mention that are still with the same woman, and it's not because they're the greatest people. I think it's because the partner is just solid as a rock.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's for sure the partner. Absolutely.
Yeah, solid as a rock, and understand, and I never understood, because at that time when you go through all this dieting, you think you're doing okay. I literally thought I was not bad. Come to find out, after everything was done and over with, and I'm retired for years and years, and I start dealing with athletes, and I realize what an asshole I was, because I see things that bother me on the athlete that I was doing the exact same way. So now I'm trying to not get an attitude and get mad at it as an athlete, for doing the same thing that I was doing, basically. So I knew, I found out after that, what an ass I was in a lot of situations where if that would have been me, I would have said, you know what, go fuck yourself, to be perfectly honest.
It's so true, yeah. I have a supplement company now, so I have some athletes that I have under, and yeah, sometimes the things they say, it's just like, man, did I talk like that? Was I like I need this, like I want that.
Yeah,
just not ever really kind of
giving you orders and telling you what you need to do.
So it is funny now, coming full circle to now have an athlete and be able to sponsor people, that it puts things in perspective. Like who did I think I was?
Right. So how do you choose your athletes for a company? What do you choose? What do you look for?
Well, I got lucky that I was able to meet people that were still amateurs, but obviously had a lot of potential. But they were in the area that I first started bodybuilding. So Florida has a huge bodybuilding community, but Southern Florida, Panama City and Pensacola, and up there, that's really an hour or two from Alabama. They have a good bodybuilding community, but it's just unknown. There's a lot of shows over there. That's where Peter Potter and all the most Southern USA is. So I just found out about them through local, because I'm still in contact with people over there. And I think the classic guy we have, Al Green, I think he'll be first caller at the Olympia one day. He is insane. His Instagram's like African Spartan. You guys can look him up. He's incredible. And then we have another guy, Elliot, who's just a mass monster, and he's a baby, super young. And he just won the Panhandle Showdown, which is down there in Florida. And I think he was going to go for the USAs this year, but he might be packing it up to kind of put on some more size. But either way, the potential, that's what I want to go for. So I want to help people.
Yeah, you look for the potential of the guy. I'm asking that question for a reason, because now you're on the other side. You've been on this side where you're looking for sponsors. So I
want to help a guy who needs it, because when I needed it, I didn't have anyone. I didn't have a sponsor who just wanted to so you're not going to fuck up. You don't party. You're not making bad decisions. You just need help eating, sleeping, and training. Those are the people I want to help.
Yeah. I'm saying this because it's different now than it was 15, 20 years ago. 15, 20 years ago, as a supplement company, you're looking at the guys on the top. You want to get the top guys, that place in the shows. Those are the guys that get the offers and get the contracts. Nowadays, it's not like that anymore, because now it's a business. So you're trying to make money. So you don't sponsor someone strictly because you want to help him. If you want to help him, you don't have to sponsor him. Here's your money. Here, I'll give you some money. Here, go ahead and buy you some food. You sponsor someone because you want to make money, which is totally understandable. So now, because athletes ask me all the time, how do I get a sponsor? I said, listen, the day and age we're at right now, it's all about social media. It's all about your followers. If you don't interact with your fans, you most likely won't get a sponsor, because there's nothing you can do for them. And they have to understand that it's all about followers. They don't sponsor you. And I'm not saying this because you sponsor someone now. You might look for potential because you're still active yourself. But most of these supplement companies, they just look at your following. When they talk to you or they negotiate with you, they ask you to send screenshots of your stories. They say they want to see how many likes and how many hits you get. That's what they're looking at. And therefore, I think it's somewhat sad on one side, but it's understandable on the other. Because listen, I want to make money. So if I sponsor someone, that's just because I want him to endorse my product so I can sell more. That's just simply the way it is. you know, and therefore I tell guys all the time, listen, interact with the fans on social media. It's so easy today. We didn't have this chance because back in the days, you know, you had to have a publication deal, so you get pictures that take your pictures and put them in the magazine, and then every month you buy the magazine, and then you see pictures that are probably, who knows, years old. You never know. So, but now with social media, it's so easy to interact with your fans, to go out. They can see your personality because you can do it in videos, you know, some things that you can't do in pictures. And therefore, I think it's really, really important that you do interact with your fans on social media. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we both know we both sponsored by GAT and both under Charles, which is strictly business, you know? And exactly, that was something I learned is that I went to the Olympia when I was with GAT, made history, first child of any Mr. Olympia to go to a Mr. Olympia. I went out, you know, and that's when we were out in Australia together and, you know, killed it, right? You saw me, I work hard. And at the end of the day, someone else's followers were more important. They dropped me and picked them up.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter anymore really kind of what you do on stage for a sponsor.
Not at all.
It's the residual payback they get immediately, and that's what they want. Not the hope anymore.
Yeah. True.
I wish I was born earlier. That's why I say all the time, I wish I was born earlier, TJ. If I was able to just like be a flex athlete or muscular development athlete, you know, and you have your regular, you know, muscle tech sponsor, whatever it is, and then you just have to just grind. That's it. You know, you travel, you do expos and stuff like that and guest postings. But for the most part, I don't have to, oh shit, I didn't post. Oh shit, I didn't film my workout. You know, shit, I need to start a YouTube, you know, and for some people, they kill it. I say all the time. I mean, it's remarkable how, look at Regan. He's got over 1 million followers. You know how much hard work that takes to be able to do that? That is a different type of level of due diligence. And I respect that, but I can't do that. Yeah. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to be on camera. I just know how to be a bodybuilder. Yeah,
I feel you on that because I can't do a YouTube channel either because I don't have the time to have someone follow me with the camera everywhere I go. Every time I take a piss, he's right behind me. And no, I'm not like that either, you know. And I know, you know, some people make crazy money. Listen, more power to them. You know, I want everybody to get paid. It's just not for me, you know. I can't have a camera in my face all day. It's just not possible. Let me ask you this about training. You still training with Chris and Chris? You're still the same team?
No, I'm still with Aceto, but not with Cormier anymore. No.
Okay, so you're no longer training with any coach in the gym.
I am. I'm training with John Meadows. John Meadows is doing my workout.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's as you know, it's a completely different type of person. Yes. And a different type of training method. But Cormier worked, but this works a little bit better for me.
Okay.
I need someone who's going to kind of create a workout for my body type. And it's really hard. You know, I say all the time, it's really hard for the best bodybuilders ever to be able to make certain workouts for someone a lot taller or a different type of length. The form and a lot of the things that I do, it's just different.
Okay.
So
there's going to be a few people that when they listen to this now, they're going to be like, wait a minute, he's a professional bodybuilder. Why would he need someone to tell him what to do? Explain the benefit of using someone with a ridiculous knowledge about lifting weights.
I do like the in-person training. So like when me and Cormier were training and he was living with me, it was a completely different type of vibe. Like it was more like a father-son, and he kind of was just going to the gym with me, and he was just having an eye on me and watching me constantly. So now I have a workout partner. So I have that person who is on me and checks all those boxes, but I also need someone to be able to look at me from an anatomy standpoint and understand what workouts that I'm obviously not doing right. Mm-hmm. I think when we first start working out, we think, oh, you need lower back, you do underhand rows. There's so many different ways you can do lower back that sometimes you're not firing the right way, your elbows are the wrong position, you know, your body's in the wrong position. So having someone be able to kind of look at that, break it down, and be like, hey, try this. And then all of a sudden now it's so ridiculous. I just figured out last year how to actually properly use my lower lats. I realized because of me how long I am that when I do two arms of something, I'm not able to really connect that lower part of my lat. So I have to do a lot of one-handed stuff.
So you can focus on this one side.
Right, which I'd never done before. I've never done it one time in my entire career. So having someone being able to figure those things out, because we get into a rut. Every bodybuilder, even the best ones, you get in a rut. You do the exercises you think that you need, and you think you're doing them the right way, and it takes someone to kind of look at you and be like, that's kind of not right.
Yeah. I mean, and then you have Chris as your nutritionist, and that already proved for how many years now that you guys have some formula that's absolutely working for you.
Yeah, no, Aceto's the reason why I am the man I am, for sure. Because, and I don't mean that like on a diet standpoint. Obviously, I look the way he makes me look. I mean, because I have bad anxiety and stress and nerves before a show. And it's actually the thing that kills me the most. If you look at every single picture at prejudging, I'm losing because I'm so flat. Coming in the morning, I'm not able to eat meals. I have real bad digestion issues. And we've gotten better every show. Every show, obviously, I've also gained a lot of weight and we placed better. But I'm also figuring out things I need to do for stomach health and gut health and how to fill out my body. And that's why at the night, if people looked at the Arnold last year, I was not in the first call-up. And then all of a sudden, I moved up 2 spots. You don't see that much anymore. You don't see someone move up from the second call-out into the middle almost of the first call-out. And I was able to pass Cedric. And I feel I passed Kuklo. I was even messing with him backstage, like, I think I got you, you know? But either way, I moved up 2 spots because I was able to fill out. I was a lot more relaxed. I already did my routine. I was obviously eating more meals by then. So when shows are later, and that's why when I did New York, that's why I won. The show went on till like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And that's usually how the shows used to be. You would go on last and you would be on last. And now the shows are pro-ams. So now the amateurs go after the pros.
Right.
So the pros go super early. So when I did Chicago, I didn't know that. When I did Chicago, the other time I did it, we went on super early. And then the night show, I think the night show started at like 4:30. And we were on right away. Yeah. So my body was just like, yeah, you're out of your mind. I actually need to sweat. I love when Weinberger's the head judge because he poses you like a ridiculous amount. You really hate him at the time. You're like, oh my God, another one. But I need that. I need to sweat and get all that out of me. Yeah. And that's when I get better.
And this is where it separates the guys that do their homework and the ones that just don't pose enough, because you saw it at the Olympia last year, where you see Weinberger worked the shit out of him. I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, and you know, when people ask, and Ramy, as a guy that's close to 300 pounds on stage, you expect him to fade first. You know,
fade and huffing and puffing. Yeah. He was, but you don't give yourself credit though, because we've never seen that Ramy before. We never saw where Phil he's out of breath. Even Brandon is fucking, he is on it. He's on his game. I've never seen him, kind of tired. And even he was tired. Yeah, and Ramy's just, doing air guitars because he's just feeling really good. And that was you posing him. Yeah, and I already knew that about you. We have a mutual friend. I already knew that about you when I was even an amateur, that you and Cormier are the pose kings, and just another one going through it.
Because you can't pose enough. There's no such thing. And you'll always, and you know what? And it proved. And I'm so glad that Steve did what he did, because at the end, I was absolutely right. There were many times when I said, Ramy, let's pose. And then we pose, and I give him no chance. Then we pose, I make him round after round. I said, let's do another, can we stop? I said, you going to tell Steve to stop? I said this a couple of times in the 3 weeks he was in my house. And I'm so glad this is what saved him at the end, because he could have faded. Absolutely. He could have faded after the first call out, and it would have ended maybe differently. I don't know. You know how it is. You could be in the best shape of your life. If you don't know how to pose, you're gonna fade. It's gonna go away real fast. But that's why you pay a lot of attention to posing, and that's why I talked to Lila Brada just before I got you here, and he mentioned you. When it comes to posing, because you don't really see it no more. You don't see these posing routines no more, where people put time and effort into displaying what they work so hard for. I mean, you train your ass off, you call your diet, and then you get on stage and hit mandatories. Back to back to back to back to back to back. There's no flow, there's no entertainment whatsoever. There's no, things that you, and you, I'm one of the newer guys. And Hunter, same way, of course, he's got the Lee in the back of his mind to pay attention to posing. And I think they should judge posing rounds again, because I think that would change a lot.
Exactly. I say that all the time. That's why they don't do it anymore, because we don't get rewarded anymore.
Yeah, but just adding an award for best poser doesn't help, because there's a lot of guys that say, I'm not going to win that thing anyway, so fuck it. You know? They should judge posing routine again, at least a little bit.
Ramy ruined it for us.
You think?
Ramy won. Yeah, that's why they got rid of it.
They got rid of it. They got rid of it before. They got rid of it.
No, Ramy won the pose round at a Mr. Olympia competition, and that's when everybody was like, "What the fuck?" And it disappeared.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it was gone. I remember. There was no longer. It used to be 4 rounds they judged: symmetry round, muscularity round, posing round, and pose down for the top 6.
Yeah, it was judged. You're right.
Now it's only 2.
Yeah, now it's just go into the crowd and kind of while we add up.
But shout out to the IFBB Pro League for putting on the confirmation round, because that's why you were able to move up 2 spots.
That last one at night, which they usually don't do. They did one more, and I was able to move up. But oh man, I was devastated after prejudging because I knew I was on. I was peeled out of my mind, but I knew again I'm pumping up. Me and Chris went into the pump up room before everybody. Yeah, and I could not get a pump. And that's just the hardest part for me. But either way, so yeah, thankfully, because of Aceto and who he is to me, he's a really good male role model for me. I haven't had many in my life. So he's really why every time that I get worried about something, not a couple of days out from a show, even just now, even talking about the Arnold and stuff like that, he always calms me down and kind of helps me out. So
no,
it's worked.
He's the best at what he does, no doubt.
We've only placed first or second at every show we've done, except the Arnold and the Olympia, and every year I've got heavier and heavier, and we get better and better. Yeah, at the Arnold, I was 279, so it's not like we're obviously never going backwards, but we're not even even being mediocre and tapping out. We're always getting better. Right. So I'm excited. Every show I get excited because it's almost like myself. I want to know what I'm going to look like. I have no idea.
Right. Well, I know you're going to do awesome. We'll just need you back on stage, man. One last question for you. And now I'm going to consider you qualifying for the Olympia, even though the chances, I don't know. I'll still believe you're going to make it qualify for the Olympia. So give me your top 6 at the Olympia. Give me your top 8 at the Olympia. Just from what you see and what you think right now at this point.
I see.
And don't worry about hurting anyone's feelings, please.
Oh no, I never do. You should. everybody knows that about me. Yeah. Hey, don't worry. That's what's the craziest part about my career is that people will see my name. You're gonna put my name on this post. It's gonna say I'm on the show. They're gonna watch the show, and then they're gonna say how much they hate me. That's just what it does. And I don't spend any time watching someone I don't like. It's really weird. So I really feel like they're not haters. They actually are fans. These people are fans. They watch everything that I do. So I have no problem telling the truth. I think Brandon's actually going to make some good improvements, and I think he might take first again. I think he might take that spot again.
You think he'll be able to bring the legs up? He's going to come in fuller for sure. He's not going for condition, I think.
He is. Yeah. Right. Exactly. No, I think he's good enough to know he realistically has. It's funny because years ago we were saying, oh, he's almost done. He's going to 212 and stuff like that. And now he's actually a Mr. Olympia. I think he's going to actually go all out. Mm-hmm. I think now he's going to pull everything, and there's no distractions with the supplement company, opening up gyms and stuff like that. He's just going to be eyeing the prize. And I think sometimes when people lose, the same thing happened to Arnold. When Arnold lost to my dad, Arnold came back looking the best he ever had. When Jay lost, he came back looking the best he ever had. I think sometimes these guys need to lose something they had, and then they'll come back. So I'm just going to give Brandon the benefit. And then I think actually Roelly is actually going to come back looking like a completely different person that we've ever seen before. And then I would actually have Ramy in third.
Okay.
Usually the way it works, except for with Dexter, when Dexter lost, usually if you're Mr. Olympia and you lose, they put you in second. So it'd be really rare if they put Ramy from first to third. But that means that Roelly just looks insane and maybe even wins it, maybe even takes first. And then you have Hottie, and then I would say me or Akeem trying to get in that first call out. And then after that, I would say Nick Walker, and then Ian.
You left. You left one out.
Oh, Bonak. Yeah, what am I thinking? No, Bonak's another one too, because like I was saying, people are calling him he's washed up.
No, he's not.
He's coming back serious.
Yes.
So I would have him right behind Hadi, because Hadi being in the country early is going to be better than Bonak, I think.
Yeah. So out of all the newer guys, I'm going to put you again in this category, but you're not. But out of the guys, you, Nick, Hunter, Labrada, Akeem, Ian, who comes out on top?
Well, I do.
Okay.
But taking me out of it, I think Ian has disappeared, and he's been training with Jordan Peters, and I think he's been on. I feel like he does back every day. He does back every day and squats every day.
Almost looks like it, right?
He's been killing it more than anyone. He makes me step it up. I watch his videos, and I'm like, man, I'm going to go back for a second round.
Yeah.
So I think actually Ian's going to come back looking like a different person. And then I would say Akeem is going to try and play the size game, and he's going to come in a little off, because now this is what people don't talk about bodybuilding too. You also get compared to the other people you're going against, but you also get compared to your best that you've ever brought. Mm-hmm. And that's what ended up happening with Kai. When Kai won the Arnold, he looked the best anyone's ever seen a conditioned body could look like. And then when he came in bigger at the Olympia, we still wanted to find that like shreddedness that he had when he beat Phil at the Arnold, and he never got it. I think Akeem came in one of the most shredded he's ever been last year, and now he's going to be playing the size game, and he's going to be a little bit softer.
All right.
I think he's going to bring it at the Arnold, though. Yeah. That's the Olympia. I think the Arnold, he's going to bring it, because the biggest person at the Arnold is Cedric.
Who's doing the Arnold? Is the list out?
It is. It's
out.
I
haven't even seen it yet. See?
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, that if Bayeki comes in 100%, he's unbeatable. Cedric comes in 100%, he's unbeatable. Bonak's in it. Kuklo, Ian, Hassan, Justin Rodriguez.
Oh, I didn't even see the list, so I feel bad for not even knowing who's on the list. So I will check that out, brother. I appreciate your time, my man. And I want to say this one more time. I hope everything works out. So you can get on that stage and qualify for this year.
I will, man. I want to make you proud. I just want to say one last thing for a lot of these newer fans that probably haven't been following anything for a while. One of the first things I ever downloaded on Napster. Napster was like, for the young crowd, it was an illegal thing that you can download music from. It was the first thing we can make CDs from. The second thing I ever downloaded was your Thailand DVD of you out there, and it was one of the most incredible things I ever seen.
Which one? The first one? The second one?
Both. But the first one I downloaded first.
One that this is the way I do it?
Yeah, this is the way I do it, man. God, man. Yeah. It just tripped me out, like how you were just out there living it, and you just looked like how you looked. It was so nuts, man.
Yeah, shit, that's 21 years ago, my man. It's your guys' turn now, man, and I'm a fan of the sport. I want to see you guys do well, and I'm happy that I can say that the IFBB Pro League don't have to worry about talent. You know, the new generation coming back. You know, that the sport's not going anywhere. So we're in a good place. I appreciate you coming on, my man. Stay safe. Get your shit sorted out. Get back on stage. We want you up there. All right, my brother?
Thanks, DJ. I appreciate it.
Take care, my man. God bless.
Take care.
Peace out.